All right. How's everybody doing? Let everybody roll in here. I'm have a unique position here. Got a sponsor, got an ad. I'm going to kick it off early and then roll into my first story, which has everything to do with the sponsor. So today's sponsor is HelloFresh. This video is being sponsored by HelloFresh. You've probably heard of them as they are America's #1 meal kit. They offer over 50 weekly options, giving an amazing amount of variety of recipes so you'll never get bored. They even have veggie, pescatarian, and fit and wholesome meals to make it easy to stick to your goals. With HelloFresh, step-by-step recipes are super easy to follow, and pre-portioned ingredients help cut out the prep time. It's also up to 72% cheaper than dining at a restaurant, according to Zagat. To try HelloFresh, just click the link below and you'll get 17 free meals across 7 boxes, plus 3 surprise gifts. Thank you very much, and thanks to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video. All right, it's a very interesting timing. I did HelloFresh on one of my recent videos. I can't even keep track anymore which one it was, but somebody in the comments wrote about it. And yes, I do read the comments. And in this case, it gave me some material. They said, oh, well, HelloFresh, they just laid off 600 people. Oh, not really my, not really my favorite thing in the world to find out, because HelloFresh is actually my second sponsor ever. And I'm thrilled to have them. It's good products and everything else, but it's a little awkward when you're like, okay, they're laying off a bunch of people. So I did look up the story, and this is our news show of the week. So, well, I'm going to lead off with this story. HelloFresh announces mass layoffs, closure of Bay Area production facility. That actually is maybe a bit of a relief. And let me explain why. Obviously, I hate to see people who are laid off. That is a terrible situation by any account. But let's be realistic here. If you are going to be running a facility and it's something with a really extremely low margin, like, say, food products, is the Bay Area of California the first place you would open a production facility? Probably not, right? I mean, no offense, there's a lot of country here where you could probably find a facility, production facility, or whatever else, and get not only probably cheaper real estate, but also much cheaper labor. So I'm speculating, and from what I'm understanding from reading the article briefly, they were shutting down this facility. Now, okay, when you shut down a facility, their facility was going to new tongue, just breaking it in. Their lease was set to expire at the beginning of 2023, and they opted not to extend it after extensive analysis of its production network. This starts to make a little bit more sense. Like, if you have a facility and it costs a lot of money, especially if it's a bad location and the labor costs are high, well, you might shut it down. You may redistribute to the area. It could make sense. And Gas Pipe Jimmy, you're right. There probably are a lot of customers in the Bay Area. I don't know why StreamYard's not pulling up your comment very well, but there you go. Probably are a lot, but even then, I bet it's still expensive. I have a feeling like Bakersfield or other parts of California are cheaper. And realistically, you're going to shrink facilities. And because it is something like a food production plant, if you will, well, if you shut it down and move to another area, you're not going to offer enough money to bring the employees with you. So layoffs are going to occur. Now, I understand that I sound completely hypocritical because they're my sponsor. And I like the fact they're my sponsor. And I hope you guys patronize them. And I obviously get a kickback from it. I think it's a good sponsor. It's good food and everything. But I was immediately concerned about, oh dear, they're laying off a bunch of people. Great, that's my sponsor. It'd be almost like Allison, you'd be kind of bummed out if your Allison Wine promo company suddenly was doing a massive layoff, right?
Oh man, I'd start buying all the wine myself.
Well, there you go. You'd be like, okay, well, hey, there's got to be a silver lining. Is it at a
Yes.
discount?
Yeah. There you go. Exactly. Let me hit my lights. I'm having this. You see this reflection in my screen? It's because
Oh
my
yeah.
lights.
Oh yeah. You've got my
I was
my
hoping. Yeah, I was hoping I could get away with not having my brutal lights on right now because I'm so tired. Eric, don't have kids.
sold. I promise. You were doing the John McAfee look. Do you know my story about John McAfee?
Mm-mm.
Okay, I interviewed John McAfee in 2020 when he was on the run,
Mm-hmm.
and some of my footage got used in the documentary that came out on Netflix this summer.
Oh, awesome.
Well, the funny part about Netflix is some of my footage for Carol Baskin got used on Netflix as well.
Okay, I knew about that.
Right, but you also knew that I had the honor of appearing in the video as an ear cup, a shoulder, and a book that was on the shelf. They managed to cut me completely out, right? Okay,
Right.
well, John McAfee, because I did back and forth footage, they cut me out too, except in his glasses. If you look in the footage, you can see me reflected back. So I have snuck my way onto Netflix in the reflection of John McAfee's glasses.
Hey, you were there. No one can take that away from you.
Nobody can. I'm almost like an Easter egg. So it's completely crazy. I was just sharing. Yeah, I was just sharing with everybody that HelloFresh, my second sponsor, somebody in the comments said, oh, yeah, they just laid off 600 people. And it turns out that they didn't lay them off. They're going to lay them off. They're shutting down a facility in California. And my thought is that, well, California's a lot of money. They're shutting down a facility probably to save money. Maybe it's not that.
I think a lot of businesses are leaving California. It could just be a smart move. You know?
Oh, yeah. I mean, not only the real estate, but the labor market and everything else. And I'm sure that they can come up with a new tax every day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, totally. So yeah, it could just be a sign that your company has many more years to go because they're getting out, you know?
That, and they did say that the lease was expiring in January. So it's like, well, if you're going to do it
now, yeah.
That is appropriate.
Yeah.
I gotta make sure this ad doesn't play. Okay, so I know, Allison, you're tired, you have a child, and you're tight on time. So we'll get right to your story that you mentioned covering. And I want you to fill us in about an FBI raid of James Gordon Meek, which, by the way, sounds like a wanted poster, doesn't it? You know, the 3-letter name or 3-part name.
Yeah. It does kind of, I know. This is such a weird story. So the first thing is like, let's just all get it out that Rolling Stone is not necessarily the Bible, right? So, or, you know, whatever you read as given down by God, it's not, you know, it's
a good birdcage liner. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's take it with a grain of salt. All right. And let's just ask some questions about this reporting and not necessarily say that what the Rolling Stone reporter is saying is true. But basically their plot line is this former ABC reporter, and they call him Star ABC News reporter. He had quit, resigned suddenly, according to their reporting, before this raid. And he was somebody who had done all kinds of like really high level national security, terrorism, war reporting. And he had recently finished this documentary about Green Berets who died in Niger, and the government had told people, including their families, they had like gone rogue for the CIA or something. They were just like, they'd basically gone rogue. They were doing stuff they weren't supposed to be doing. But that wasn't the case according to what he found out. And so he was talking a lot publicly about you know, the lies, I guess, that the military administration was saying. However, he also was somebody who seemed to be very aligned with like the military top brass, very connected. And I had interviewed somebody who said that the same reporter put a story together about him and his unit and had gotten high level information that was disinformation, that was factually inaccurate, but wrote a hit piece on them. What'd you say?
Deep state.
So, well, I mean, it's weird, right? Now, I got a tweet from somebody, like a DM on Twitter from somebody who saw our video. I did this with Radix Verum, Christina Urso. She writes under the pen name Radix Verum online on Substack. She's on Locals and everything. If you're interested, she does a lot of national security, FBI type stuff. And I got a DM from somebody who said that his friends are genuinely worried about him. But who knows? I mean, maybe he was investigating something that crossed paths with the wrong people at the high levels. I mean, I have no idea. But like what the report says is that early this year, like April-ish, his apartment was raided by the FBI. But prior to that, he had just suddenly resigned his position at ABC after he's like a multi-Emmy award winning producer. He'd worked on some pretty serious documentaries and he just leaves. A lot of his coworkers, who they say they were quoting kind of anonymously, didn't really know what happened to him. They say he hasn't been seen since the raid. And yet at the same time, like no one's reported on it until now. And I got to say, like, if I went missing, and I was raided by the FBI, my old station would have, I can't imagine a day they wouldn't have done a story about it, even if it was just for the ratings. They didn't care about me, but they were just going to get the ratings. Or like Allison, our former reporter, was raided by the FBI. Like, what the heck? We got all the inside info on it because we're her old station. So it's weird that no one's really done anything until now.
And I was going to say, this is April, 6 months ago.
Yeah. And like he hasn't been, and he resigned as sudden, like he went into hiding or something. Like no one knows. But the weird thing is, not that all this isn't also weird, but one of the weirdest things is that they got a statement from his attorney. So he has an attorney. So what's up with that? So he has an attorney. They quote the attorney, released a statement saying he is concerned that they even knew about this raid and that his apartment was raided and like there were allegations he had classified information on his computer because it shows that somebody deep within the Department of Justice or one other agency is leaking information to Rolling Stone. And so that was
shocking.
So it doesn't seem like anyone's okay, I shouldn't say it doesn't seem like anyone's concerned he's dead. Like I said, I got a DM from somebody on Twitter saying his friends are very concerned about his whereabouts. But in the article, you don't get the sense necessarily that people are like, the guy was murdered and we can't find him or something. You get the sense that there's like this just very, because he has an attorney. Like what would the attorney have said? Yeah, we're very concerned about him and his whereabouts. But that's not the statement they got from the attorney. The statement they got from the attorney was like, why did you guys know about, like, where are all these allegations coming from? They must be coming deep from within the Department of Justice or somewhere else. So the whole thing is very weird. Like, yeah, was he really a producer? Like, okay, if he was he somehow connected? Oh yeah, he also worked for like, I want to say DHS or something. Like he was on some Homeland Security Investigative Council or like, so he was also working for the government publicly. Like he had a public front facing. Let me share an article with you real quickly.
Let me share an article with you really quickly while we're talking. Maybe this will help eliminate. Let's see there. Establishes smear merchants, the Daily Beast, Rolling Stone, and their perceptible intelligence ties. How did Daily Beast and Rolling Stone become two of the most aggressive smear factories of the U.S. neoliberal establishment? And did U.S. intelligence play a role? Oh, yeah. This is the Gray Zone, who is Aaron Mate, friends with Glenn Greenwald. Rolling Stone is a noted deep state outlet. Now, let's just look at some timing. It's odd. Okay, all this went down in April, right? And well, let me leave it up while you're reading. Sorry. All this went down in April, and then nothing. Nobody knows anything about this. Completely silent. And poof, all of a sudden we hear about this journalist who vanished in thin air after an FBI raid in the middle of the night. And of course, one of those little light raids that they tend to do, like Roger Stone, like Project Veritas, like hell, even a former president of the United States. They bring, all the people out and they come in hard. I wonder what's going on now. Is there anything at all happening within, I don't know, say 3 weeks from yesterday? Anything at all that could be a concern that perhaps, and I would never, ever want to imply that journalists that are considering reporting on certain events could be, I don't know, they might infer something odd, like maybe you shouldn't be reporting anything now for, say, 3 more weeks. Just a thought. I don't know, but I'd love to get your take on that, because it would make a lot more sense why something that's 6 months old suddenly becomes news, put forth by an outlet that some who have called, we'll just say a deep state rag.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I honest to God, I want to be careful, like where I make assumptions, and all I can tell you is that I think it's odd that all of a sudden this news is making it to Rolling Stone when, like, why didn't ABC do anything about it 6 months ago? Like,
remember, Rolling Stone is the one that got Flynn fired, if I recall, right?
Yeah.
Remember that little expose piece that was on him, and I believe Obama fired him.
Oh yeah, one thing
yeah.
you'll love about the article also said that, like, this would be the first, if this is in fact true, or like, no, actually they say it's true, but if in this, this is the first raid on a journalist by the Biden administration. So I thought that was interesting. Obviously, they don't consider Project Veritas and James O'Keefe journalism outlets, but anyway, so it's just a super odd article, and they're just things like that just don't make sense. Like, if he's missing, the way they built the case, like the headline is like he's just missing. Well, why isn't anybody scared for his life? Like, why
is there a police report? Is there? Yeah, I mean, how about those basic questions? Like, where is the police report?
Yeah, where's his family? Yeah, that's the other thing too. Like, why has his family filed a missing persons report? Like, what? Why weren't any of them quoted in the story? Like, where's his family? Like, what? I don't know. So it's like, on one hand, the guy's like hasn't been seen, but it's not like if you or I went missing. I mean, our family would be trying to get the word out, and like, where is she, or where's Eric? And
you'd hear at least within a week or so, like, hasn't been seen for a week, or
like,
whatever.
The FBI just raided our apartment and we're scared, or
no neighbors are talking. Nothing to see here, folks.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's odd. Like I said, I have a very like close source of mine, like somebody who's been on my channel before, who I would say, like, I would, I rarely trust anyone, but I would say, like, it would be very unlike this person to just like come up with false information. And he said that he was covered by this guy. Like, this guy wrote a story about him, and he called it a BS hit piece that basically was like CIA propaganda kind of. And so I don't know what to tell you other than, like, because on the other hand, he does documentaries that are like exposing the military industrial complex, and the lies of the government. So I don't know what to make of it. It's very weird.
Yeah, I haven't had enough time to really look into them and try to see, because, like, I hate to say, I'd love to see what Glenn Greenwald says about the guy, and what other reporters who seem to have actual status and records. Not the Taylor Lorenzes and the Kat Timbarges, obviously, where you put scare quotes on them. But, like, actual, or Matt Tiabi, he's not too bad. I would like to know what any of the beat people actually have to say. Is this guy legit, not legit? He could be a total deep state guy. He could have gotten called back in. Who knows? Maybe he's back at a farm somewhere.
I wish I can't pull up the article because it's going to make me log in, and I don't have time for that. But he did work for, like, he was on some kind of, Homeland Security type council. So he was this, I think, even if this is like, there's no conspiracy about this because this was just an open thing. Like, I still think that's weird. I think it's weird to have a producer who's also running somehow, in step working with the government. Like, that's a very weird. And I think his colleagues were like, we don't know if he has a military history. Like, he spent a lot of time in Afghanistan. I don't know, just a lot of questions. But like I said, I'm getting in DMs from people who are, well, at least one who's like, no, we are worried about him. We don't know where he is. But like I said, then where are they in the article? Maybe the Rolling Stone never reached out to him. I don't know. It just, the article itself is quite odd.
Well, here's a good thing from Toshiro. I agree. Rolling Stone is well written, but they mainly report well-written gossip and trending topics.
Mm-hmm.
They're great at packaging gossip as legit news.
Yeah.
Toshiro, one thing to note, just because something is tied in with a deep state doesn't mean that it's bad material. For example, The Recruit is considered a very good movie. Complete deep state ties. There's a lot of movies that are deep state oriented, very good actors, very good directors, very good writing. I mean, if you're going to be backing something up and pushing propaganda, you hire people who are talented. That's why not? I mean, Animal Farm is actually a CIA produced movie. Like, literally the CIA produced the movie. They bought the rights from the widow of George Orwell and produced the movie. One of the greatest animation films ever made. Total deep state, total CIA, quite literally. So I don't know. I find it very, very suspect. And Allison, you were not a CNN business journalist, were you?
Oh my God, please. You know about this, right?
Two S's?
Two L's.
Oh,
two
L's.
L Allison, yeah. Allison Morrow with two L's. She still works at CNN. Ooh. Allison with one L, which is me, has never worked at CNN. But I get all kinds of very kind, and I say that as sarcastically as possible, all kinds of kind emails and tweets about my reporting at CNN, because I like to write articles about how inflation is good for the middle class and how people should just suck it up and be poor. And turns out people don't like that. And so then they have vented thinking that I'm Allison Morrow at CNN. And one guy told me to go F myself because he had to leave his groceries at the store because he couldn't afford them due to gas prices.
Ouch. Yeah. And you're like, I can totally relate to you. And yeah, I can imagine. But Alba Twitch Wiggler, your doppelganger. No, but Allison does have a doppelganger, or she's a doppelganger to another very famous news personality, or has been mistaken for this personality before.
It's hard for you to believe because I look like absolute crap right now. But yes, and I just have my microphone. Oh my God. Every once in a while, I do get the Megyn Kelly. But that was really back in the day when I used to bleach my hair like so blonde. Like, I'm trying to find something the color of what I used to bleach my hair. I know. This. Anytime I get the chance to bring up Miami, So
well, why only one? You should have, you've got two. I mean, you got two hands.
Yeah,
what's going on?
So yeah, it's but it's a cold day in hell when I'm mistaken for Megyn Kelly nowadays, because I don't dye my hair anymore. I barely style it anymore because I don't have time. I have a newborn, in case people didn't know. I have a newborn, and he's growing like a fiend. He was 7 pounds 10 ounces 2 weeks ago, and now he's like almost 9.5 pounds. So he's like gained almost 2 pounds in 2 weeks. Like, he's growing crazy fast, but that means he's eating a lot. I'm up like every 90 minutes with him at night, and during the day it's just nuts. So
lovely.
Yeah.
Well, good. We got your story covered here. I'm glad you're still here because we can talk about the guy who's pretty much dominated the news over the past week or so, Kanye West. And I don't know if you've been following what's been going on with him and everything related there or not.
Yes, I have. Yes, I
Okay.
have. Mm-hmm.
So last week he did his interview with Tucker.
Mm-hmm.
And conservatives loved him because he said some things that, were kind of anti-Clinton and pro-MAGA, things like that. Yay, good for the team. Then, of course, over the weekend, it is Kanye. So he kept talking. So it's kind of like, okay, everybody, you're happy. Remember, you didn't always like the person. You didn't care for him when he was doing the deification posters of Obama. But, well, let's see. Over the weekend, then he got a little crazy. Did some Instagram posts, got thrown off Instagram, popped out Twitter, first time in like 2 years, and released this very famous tweet. I did an entire episode with Nate the lawyer on Nate and Eric. There's a pitch, please. Everybody check it out. I think you will like it. And we were discussing whether this should be pulled down or not. It's the I'm a bit sleepy tonight, but when I wake up, I'm going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. The funny thing is I can't be anti-Semitic because black people are actually Jew also. You guys have toyed with me and tried to blackball anyone who ever opposes your agenda. Now, obviously, this is not a friendly tweet. It is quite offensive to a lot of people. But couple points. I pointed this out to Nate, and I've had it confirmed since because he did a really long interview, and I'm not going to watch a 3-hour interview with Kanye to find it out. I went to the timestamp people show me. He did mean DEFCON, DEFCON 3, not DEFCON 3. I thought he might have extrapolated it, and one of those things like, have you ever had that, especially growing up or whatever, when you hear something and you think it's that, and then later on you find out, oh no, it's not that.
Yeah, a lot of people, like even adults, will say, I should have gone instead of I should have gone. You ever hear people say that, or they'll write it that way? Yeah, or should, yeah, because they think that they think what people are saying is should OF, I should have gone. It's like, no, it's I should have HAVE, but yes, it's like, yeah, I know what you mean.
Or apostrophe VE, that's where they got the should have.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. But as Nate was pointing out, and I think I actually swung him a little bit. I don't think this tweet should be pulled down.
I don't think anything. I mean, this is not illegal. I don't think anything should be pulled down. I mean, wouldn't you want to know what somebody writes, regardless whether you agree or disagree? I don't know. I don't like sanitizing people's history.
You're right after my heart. I want it out there, what they say. I want to know whom I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
If we pull it down because it offends people, are we not sanitizing the person at the same time to where it could literally be, I don't know, denied? What do you mean? I didn't say it.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So I believe in that.
Totally.
Now, somebody pushed back and said, okay, well, on the side, you're saying that because it's anti-Semitic. I'm like, well, no, if it was racist, I'd want it up too. I mean, I'm equal opportunity. If somebody writes something offensive, I want to know what's out there. I want to know who they are. As long as it is not a call to action, and I differentiate that. Like if it's defamatory, yes, take it down. If it's a call to action, violence, something else, then take it down. But otherwise, no. Let people live and die by their own words. So he is, however, removed from Instagram and removed from Twitter. So that brings us into the next phase of the news. And this broke 2 days ago. This is a weekly show. I could turn this into a daily show at the rate we're going here. But Kanye West announced his plans to buy Parler. Now, Allison, do you remember? I'm known for kind of my even keel. I don't get that hot or upset that often. But when Parler got taken down in January 2021, I went on a complete rant on a video about it. I don't know if you remember that at all, but
I don't.
I was completely pissed off about them taking down Parlor, because how many times have we heard the argument, well, if you don't like how Twitter does things,
Start
go
your
build
own.
your own.
Right. Yeah.
And so they did build their own with Parlor.
Mm-hmm.
It was the fastest growing app ever. And then as soon as it was going bonkers, number one in the App Store and everything else,
Yeah.
boom, the rest of the Silicon Valley connection and Amazon connection came in and took out the servers.
Right.
Kneecapped the service, took it completely down, to where Parlor is really a pale shadow of whatever it might have been. It's kind of a weird, I don't know, it's a weird choice.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get that he wants to buy a social network, but why Parlor? Is that what you would think about buying, or I'm just curious?
I don't know. Maybe that's what he can afford. or
he's a billionaire.
He's got to give a lot of alimony to Kim, probably. And child support.
I guess. God only knows.
I don't know.
She makes enough money on her own too, though, so that's got to be weird. I don't know either. And I don't know what's going to happen with it. Like, let's say he did buy. It's supposed to close at the end of the year. And I think one of the reasons he's buying Parlor is, before Tucker, do you know what brought him back into the spotlight again?
Gap.
I don't know.
Yeah, because he was like, his new clothing line had everybody like dressing like you had to go through bags like a homeless person. And they're like, people were complaining, or oh, why was Kanye? This is mean to homeless people that that you won't hang up the clothes, you're making them go through sacks. Remember that? And he was like, no, it's elitist of you that people shouldn't have to know what it's like to like dig through bins of clothing and dumpsters and stuff. You don't remember that? That was like a month or so ago.
Oh, okay. I don't remember
there's
that.
Something else?
Yes, there's something else, of course.
Oh, yeah, the White Lives Matter.
Bingo.
With Candace Owens. Yeah.
With Candace Owens. Now, this is where we go to Parlor.
Yeah.
Somebody reminded me. Guess who is the CEO of Parlor?
Candace Owens' husband.
You got it. Got it in one. That's why you're a star reporter.
I guess. Wow.
You did.
Okay, well, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I think that's what kind of did it, and he's definitely in thick with Candace Owens and all of that.
Yeah.
And thus he's buying Parlor, but I don't know. I want as much free speech as I can get, and I love the idea of free speech. I don't really care about Parlor that much, because literally it's an echo chamber, pretty much. True Social is an echo chamber, and I want to be on the same platform as people I argue with, and I think most people feel that way. Well, I'd say most right-wing people feel that way, and most classical liberals feel that way. I don't know if the left-wing people feel that way. They like to cancel. So some may, I don't know. But in general, it does seem to be unidirectional in terms of a discourse and debate.
Yeah.
But guess what? If Parlor, if they get pissed off, they'll just take it out of the App Store and take it out of the Google Play Store. So then it's off of all the phones. And he's hamstrung before he even goes anywhere. So I'm not really sure if that can have an effect. Whereas Elon buying Twitter, number one, Elon is wired into Silicon Valley.
Mm-hmm.
And his buddy is Peter Thiel. And look at that. Big tech has just snatched Allison from me. So I will go on a monologue rant. Anyway, Elon Musk and Peter Thiel are part of the PayPal mafia.
Help!
This is big tech taking their revenge.
And I'm like, what just happened? Eric just disappeared.
What happened anyway?
Who knows? I can't blame it on my toddler though. This time, she's not in here.
All right. All right, this guy, Lynn Westover, is right. Yes, it brings in Section 230.
I know
into
that
question.
guy.
It is, and Section 230 is going in front of the Supreme Court. There's, I think, 3 cases out there now. Clarence Thomas put out the smoke signals of cases that he wanted, and they're going up to the Supreme Court. So, I'd like to see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really interested in the Section 230 conversation because, on one hand, I get a little nervous about Section 230 getting screwed with because I don't know. Like, I interviewed this attorney. He's like an internet attorney, like a legal expert guy, and very much wants the government off the back of the internet in order to protect speech. But then that would mean that you would, I guess, allow these tech companies to do what they're doing in his mind. And Section 230 for him at least protects the government from enforcing its will on a private company.
They don't need to. They just recruit them. I mean,
that's
Zuckerberg
exactly,
has them on speed
right,
dial.
Right.
Fauci communicated with Zuckerberg directly, and it's like, if you do us a favor. And as a matter of fact, it's even worse because they're using the tech industry to circumvent the Constitution.
Yeah,
like they cannot legitimately do anything, but they can tell the tech company.
And are you familiar with this? Are you familiar with the new Council for Social Media Responsibility? Just did a video about it yesterday.
I've heard of it, but that's like the second iteration because remember he got the crazy dancing chick in charge of the NSA thing.
Disinformation Governance Board, yeah.
But
well,
the
Disinformation Governance Board was like a legit full-on government creation, but the Council for Social Media Responsibility is like a bunch of former government types, and including the NSA, DHS, CIA, and former defense secretaries, along with the Facebook whistleblower, and journalists who constantly write about how the right has divorced itself from reality online and all these, and allegedly they're bipartisan, which they're not. If you go look at all of their connections, they're very like neoliberal Democrat Party aligned, and they're very concerned about democracy, and people undermining democracy. So this is just launched, and I had Ryan Christian of The Last American Vagabond on talking about this yesterday, and one of the rabbit holes you could go down asking about this was that whole just chaos with the Disinformation Governance Board just a theatrical show in order to sort of open the path for this iteration.
That's exactly it. Yes, these are I'm forgetting. It's trial balloons. You throw that up, and then everybody goes, "Oh!" And then you say, "Oh, never mind." And then you do a little quieter way. And by the way, what you're describing now is an information version of the Fed. The Fed is technically non-government, and look at the influence they have on the whole monetary industry.
100%. Yeah, maybe more. And then
right. So now you have this weird.
You don't
nebulous.
have emails, you can't do public records requests because they're not technically government, so it's because it's private. Yeah, it's totally shady. But anyway, I'm hearing a newborn meltdown in the other room, Eric, so I probably should go.
Right on schedule. Right.
It turns out there are certain things only a woman can do. And so
Lynn's letting you down, huh?
Yeah, I gotta go bring the ice cream to. What do they say? My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard.
Okay,
but it's true. Bye, everybody. See you next week.
See ya.
Bye.
Talk to you next time. Bye. All right. So back to the news, and what do you guys think? I mean, am I completely off base that these boards are? This is even worse in some ways than the Disinformation Board, which would be subject to government oversight. Why not have this little side organization that's neither government but is government and just has profound influence on everything? Kind of like the pharmaceutical industry has on certain governmental agencies. Yeah, I'm sure that's gonna be great. Hey, Steph. All right. Check that out. Good to see you. I'm not a fan of any intervention whatsoever. So now we're going to get into the last story, and I'm totally stealing from my good friend Viva Fry, David, and his point. Last week, I talked about the whole Alex Jones verdict. And again, I'm not arguing about defamation. I think a case could be made that defamation occurred, and absolutely there could have been ruling against him and everything else. I have giant issues, though, with $1 billion, which is insane. And even if we take it down to an average of 60-something million dollars per person, insane. And why is it insane? Partly because it's just out of hand, but second, because guess what? It set a precedent. And we're not even a week in, and we have what we can call the Alex Jones precedent potentially playing out. Back to the man of the show, Kanye West, because he's the gift who keeps on giving. He talked about George Floyd and made some comments on how he thought George Floyd died. Again, back to Candace Owens. Apparently, it's from Candace Owens' documentary that he got this information. And George Floyd's family is planning to sue him for $250 million. This is what I'm going to credit Viva Fry calls the Alex Jones effect. And you saw it going out right away, like, oh, if you say such and such, we'll sue you for $100 million like Alex Jones. We'll sue you for this like Alex. Like, if there's no ceiling to this, there's no reason to this, it's going crazy. Now, okay. Kanye West said this about George Floyd and questioned the method of dying. And there is a court case and an actual conviction that says, no, George Floyd died because of this reason. However he did die, I'm curious, because defamation by its nature, and I'm going to use the Johnny Depp trial because I think it's a very easy and clear case to see. Whether you agree with the verdict or not, you can see what he's asking for. When Johnny Depp sued Amber Heard, he asked for, I believe, $50 million. Now, would you agree that Johnny Depp, through the course of the editorial from Amber Heard and the reputation from his marriage and everything else, lost $50 million because he was fired from that Harry Potter franchise or whatever it was, a Fantastic Beasts or something, major franchise. He lost all his wages, pretty much was shunned from all this work. And Johnny Depp made a ton of money. He was worth $50 million plus dollars. That was actual lost work. And yes, Patty Juror's girl. Yes, he probably did lose more. Absolutely fair. But that is a loss. That is something. So if he sues for $50 million for defamation, he is seeking to get whole again, or as close to whole as possible. He lost this because of this defamation. He wants this back, this reputational concern. Whatever you think about the tragedy that is involved, can somebody tell me that how you can calculate $250 million for George Floyd's family? Help me with that. How do you come up with $250 million? Pretty tough, isn't it? So we're starting to get into some just asinine territory. And again, we're getting into the whole Alex Jones thing. Again, repugnant comments, horrible, everything else. We'll go with all of that. But it's insane. And yeah, they're using punitive damages, but that's technically not meant to be a punitive damage to that degree. It is out of sorts. I mean, you have, children who suffer really bad injuries with product, malfunctions and deliberate things, and nobody ever gets verdicts like these. Nobody gets any verdicts like these. These are bonkers, crazy cases. So you cannot, it's not even comparable. So again, I see this as a gigantic, horrible problem that you cannot go and do anything about. And let me see, Toshira's talking about, we're talking a lot about the, mental illness of Alex, well, some would probably say Alex Jones, sure. Kanye West. And yes, I believe he has conditions and all that. And the problem is I have with all the Kanye West is that Kanye West is a person. He's very complicated. He's not one thing. He's not another. I mean, you got to take all of him or none of him. It is what he is. He has, I believe, bipolar disorder. I'm not going to try and diagnose him. I am not any kind of physician. But, just because he has that doesn't mean some of what he says isn't true. And just because some of what he says is true and people like it doesn't mean that a lot of what he says isn't bad as well. So I don't know. I feel like everybody should be weighed out as much as they are producing. Alex has a drinking problem. Some could call that a character. What is it? Or a mental or character illness. Some might call it that, Tyler. Yes. I do think alcoholism is a disease and it has been treated as such. And I'm going to defer to that. My partner, Mark, works with a lot of addicts and helps them with their disease. He's friends with Dr. Drew. So I'm going to lean pretty hard that, no, this is a disease. And I want to absolutely be as sympathetic as humanly possible. And somebody had posted about genius. I saw that flash by, but I did want to talk about that because I totally get it. And that is something that I've been shifting on. Here we go. Hi, Susan. Here we go. Sorry, I do not see the genius. I never liked rap or hip hop. Pi Susan 17, I totally can relate to your comment in a lot of ways, but I have kind of shifted over time because I've come to realize that one, I don't like rap either. I can't stand it. I'm not a fan of Kanye's music. I don't like the auto tune. I'm not a fan of any of it. But just because I don't understand it doesn't mean that it's not genius because it affects so many people. He is incredibly influential to so many people. So while I don't get it, I can't just sit there and go, yeah, no, that's just BS. It doesn't mean anything. I can't. I don't think it's intellectually fair of me to say that. I need to learn to understand it, and I currently don't understand it. But that doesn't mean it's not there. It means that I have to look at it differently. I have to maybe find another perspective. Ziggy, you brought up a good point. Tom McDonald changed my mind on rap in a lot of ways. Yeah, I like Tom McDonald. Now, I will say that I watch some of the reviewers who say that he's not really a great rap artist, that he's fake or this. I don't know. I mean, I enjoy him and I like his message and he pleases a lot of people. And that's awesome. But again, I just don't know. So I have really flipped on that in a lot of ways. Before I would just be like, who would listen to that? Ugh. Now I'm much more apt to, in fairness, say, yeah, it's not really for me. But if I see a lot of people love it, there's something there. There's something going on. This person is connecting, or people are connecting with others in a way that, again, I don't completely understand. And a lot of that could, that's my upbringing, my background, my life experiences. I don't necessarily see it from their direction. But again, I don't know that it's not there. And Tyler, absolutely, he may well be a genius. And by the way, one of the people who has really strained my credulity and made me have to step back and say, I don't know, there's something there because they did it, is Kim Kardashian, his wife, ex-wife, whatever. I absolutely was like, wait a minute. So let me get this straight. You make a adult tape that goes around on the internet and you somehow build an empire off of a quote leaked tape. Okay. Huh? And yeah, Ziggy, I'm not a fan of it either, but I cannot deny that she just became world famous. And yes, Honey Badger, it's turned out that it wasn't leaked and it was coordinated. It's even grosser because it appears it's possible, allegedly, that Ray J had it cleared with her mother and her mother helped coordinate it, which is incredibly disturbing. And Jack Jackerson, yes, Kim Kardashian is the daughter of, I think his name is Robert Kardashian, or according to OJ's manager, who I've interviewed, OJ got on very, very well with Robert Kardashian's wife, extremely well with Robert Kardashian's wife, questionably well with Robert Kardashian's wife and Kim Kardashian's mother. So anyway, I don't know, though. I'm just stating that there's crazy, crazy, weird speculation out there at all. And you never know. Life's weird. Life may get people to film a tape, but other people have had a tape leak. Ironically, I think Kim Kardashian ran with Paris Hilton, and she had a tape of hers leak. And Paris Hilton kind of was a flash in the pan, and she's sort of fallen back out. And she started out like, incredibly, incredibly rich, of course. Others have had their tapes leaked, but nobody has turned into an empire. And Pisces 17, guess what? I have never watched a single Kardashian episode myself, ever. And yes, Kardashian, I believe, is an Armenian name. Don't know it for sure, but I believe it is. But again, how do you do that? How do you turn an adult tape into an empire? There's more to it. There's obviously more to it because there have been many, many, many tapes leaked. I mean, all the time, but that one got the start, and she managed to turn it into something quite substantial. I mean, she is I don't know what she is. She's one of those weird, peculiar people who is famous for being famous. It's I don't know. It's a very, 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 very odd. But she did it. So I'm going to go into, I think, the last story. And I think it kind of ties into all this. It's a few days old now. But it shows what a crazy ass world we are in right now. Okay. We're talking about Elon buying Twitter and Kanye and Parler and his statements. And we've brought up Section 230 all in this show tonight, right? What is one of the biggest problems right now with social media and why people are screaming about Section 230 and free speech? Well, it's because if you look at a lot of my videos, you'll see on YouTube little warnings underneath, little informational pieces that are saying about JFK or whatever, little extra information just so you know. Little bit of things that are making you question whatever is put out because, they want to control what you are saying. And so who do they use? Who do these social media companies, like let's say Facebook, who do they use to make sure that the information that you are sharing and I am sharing is in fact proper and correct and is not disinformation? They use fact checkers, right? Now, you know how I keep saying that Taylor Lorenz and Kat Timbarge need to have scare quotes whenever you say journalist in reference to them? Well, guess what? You got to say that about a fact checker. Why? Has anybody heard of John Stossel? John Stossel is a reporter from way back. I don't know how many Emmys he has, but it's more than Allison. And it may be like 20. I mean, he has a lot of Emmys. John Stossel is one of those people who used to go around busting businesses, things like that. I mean, really, hard-nosed reporter, etc. He's got a libertarian bent, but really, really squared away, full-on pedigreed journalist, old school. I mean, we're talking 80s, 90s, all the way through, right? He is the real deal. And yes, John Stossel is a fossil. You're a poet and you didn't even know it. Thank you, Dove Omega. But Stossel's the real deal. So John Stossel is putting out posts on Facebook, and Facebook fact-checked him. And they said, no, these aren't factual. Our fact checker says. So John Stossel said, screw you. I'm suing because these are in fact facts. And how can you have a fact checker who is not actually factual? I mean, think about it. Anybody else here think it's a little crazy here? If you are a quote unquote fact checker, I mean, it's your name and you are saying you're fact checking. Well, then if you tell somebody that they're not a fact and they are a fact, well, guess what? That really should be defamation. But guess what? Again, both of his cases were dismissed. Not only were the cases dismissed, he got slap motions against him. Anti-slap. I have a feeling he might have to pay the attorney fees. Why? Because, and let me see if I can, and by the way, these are with prejudice. He can never bring it up again. Anything else? Okay, here is the court's decision. Although called a fact check program, what Facebook is actually doing, has the right to do, is reflect a subjective judgment about the accuracy and reliability of assertions made. And to think that they say this shit with a straight face. Think about that for a second. They're quite literally saying, well, a fact isn't really a fact. What? Or a fact checker isn't a fact checking advice. What? It doesn't make any sense. So what in the hell is somebody supposed to do here? It is quite literally saying that they could just tell you what the hell to say. It is 1984. And I'm sorry it's uninteresting, Solinus Barker, Parlor, or whatever. Bye-bye. I mean, a fact is a fact is a fact. A fact is a fact unless it's not a fact. And then we're going to say that we don't like it. So it's, can you think of anything more completely Orwellian? I can't. So this is the state we're living in now. We put something out there, and if the service doesn't like it, they just take it down. I would actually appreciate it more if they were just honest about it and said, screw you, I don't like you. I just won't allow the message. I just don't like your message. I don't like your hairline, Eric. That's why you can't do it. At least let's be honest about it. Let's not wrap a bullshit veneer on it and pretend that we are in fact checking anything or that we care about anything. And yeah, you're right, Brett. That is something that I do think about. And thanks for stopping by, Steph. Steph is in England, guys, so I can't believe she's still up with us. Steph is crazy. I don't think she even sleeps, but we are completely trapped in a situation where it's all narrative and we have no idea what's real. And as was brought up earlier, it's really hard with the normies. I can't blame them. I work with people who are working 60 hours a week, 70 hours a week, and they don't have time. They don't have time to read beyond the headline. And if they read beyond the headline, they can't get more than a paragraph or two in because they're going to the next story. They just don't have time to sit there and go, well, wait a minute. In paragraph 8 or 9, you just contradicted what you said in the headline. So until the narrative can be won in a way, we're going to keep seeing this, I think. It is a very real problem. And good question, Frank Barron. What is a normie? And are you a normie? I don't know if you're a normie, but what I consider a normie is somebody who is just living their life. They're working, they're taking care of their family, they're good people, they send their kids to school, they try to do their part, for society as it is, but they don't have the time to just sit there and read every single article and find out every single thing that is going on. They have a life. They're not, some goofball like me on YouTube yakking with another person on YouTube about what's going on in the news and reading articles and getting into, fights with different people and things like that. The real working people, great people. And it's hard. It's really hard for them to completely understand it because they just don't have time for that. They read it. They hope that society is essentially looking out for them, that overall everything is good. And by the way, I never want to take away. I don't want to turn them into a pessimistic outlook because then we really would be doomed. It is nice to have people who are hopeful and they just assume that everything will be okay. And yeah, Ziggy, good. No, normies are worker bees. Sure. Absolutely. I don't blame them though for the situation. It is hard. I blame the bad actors who manipulate things around, and I'm doing all I can with my little edge of the internet, my sliver, to try to state an opinion. Hopefully, other people will think too. I'm not even trying to convince anybody of anything other than to please be thoughtful, please think, and please actually read what's going on and come to a conclusion that is reasonable. Even if it's different than what I'm saying or somebody else is saying, please put a lot of thought into it. Then we can come back and discuss things and have it out and have a good discussion and come away learning it. So on that happy note, I believe Joe may have a show on right now. Good logic. I'm not sure. I did set up a redirect to my friend Scott Cardinal, who's on with Law and Lumber right now, and Colonel Kurtz, and I think Andrea Burkhart. I don't know if they're still going, but they do a show every week about trials of the century. Really good stuff, really good people. So after this closes out on the credits, everybody's going to be redirected there. I hope you like this. And of course, if you do, please consider subscribing. I'm trying to do this every week. I do a panel every other week. And love to hear from you and what you think. You can follow me on Twitter at Hunley Eric, or Instagram at Hunley Eric, or locals, unstructured.locals.com. I'd love to hear from all of you, and I hope to see you next time. And I am finding the outro because I'm scrambling in StreamYard and just making it up as I go. So everybody have a fantastic evening, and thanks so much.